Yes, very tough outcome to an outstanding football game, and that environment we had here at the Rock was that was exceptional. I mean, that was one of the best atmospheres I've ever been a part of, and I've coached in the Big Ten and at the University of Louisville, so I've been around a lot of great environments. But outstanding environment just came up a little short at the very end, but we fought to the very end. Our kids are holding their heads high.
Thank you very much. And again, please use the hand icon to let us know you'd like to ask a question. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald. Dan, please go ahead.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
You and your staff and your guys just were on the craziest roller coaster that you might ever be in a football career. I know you have to step forward, but how do you do that? How do you sort of regroup after one like that was such an emotional game?
Well, I've been this 22 years. I've never scored 40 points in one quarter or scored 9 touchdowns and got beat, but it happens. And, you talk about situations come up throughout a season of, 2-point conversions, onside kicks, clock management. It all came up in the first home game or the first game of the season. Our kids, they expect to win every single football game. We expect to win, and that didn't happen. So, we were down, but we came back in Sunday morning and our kids had weights Sunday morning. Our coaches came in early, watched the tape, things we did good, things we did bad, and we moved on. I mean, you have to have a short memory in this profession. You can't hang on to it for a long time or next week will beat you. So we put the game to rest and we moved on to Texas A&M.
Your offense had I can say only 3 touchdowns, considering what you did in the fourth quarter in those first 3 quarters. Was it just a matter that you weren't able to finish drives in those first 3, or were you doing something a little different in that last quarter?
Well, no, it was, Coach Barbay had a great game plan on offense, and we knew there was some looks that we could take advantage of. And the first 3 drives, we got down the field and score, and then we drop a ball here, get a penalty there, and maybe you're behind the chains. And so we're up 21-7. We go on a dry spell, and we get beat in the middle 8. And the middle 8's the last 4 of the first half, and the first 4 of the second half. And we were outscored 14-0. If you take that out of the equation, then it's probably a different football game. So it's tough to even think about right now. But our offense did a very good job of finishing drives at the end, and there was no fight in our program. Our kids not stopped fighting.
Can you talk a little bit about Chase Bryce's performance?
Well, he performed like he'd been all last spring and through fall camp. And, I think he threw for 361 yards and he spread the ball around. That's something we're different now than years past. We're able to spread the ball around to different receivers. He had 1 interception that he could have thrown a check down, but he went for the throw. He was open for a second. The guy on defense made an incredible play. So very proud of Chase, his leadership he brings. He's really grown in that part of his football game as to his leadership, and those young guys really rally around him.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Dan. Mike, we'll head over to you.
Thanks very much. Hey, Coach, what kind of a boost? I know it's a loss, but still 40 points in the fourth quarter. There's a lot of positives that can take away. What kind of boost does this give you guys getting ready for Texas A&M?
Well, again, I'm not sure how much of a boost it can give you when you lose, but there are some bright spots that that we're not going to be one-dimensional on offense. I think that's one thing that you can see on tape, that we have several weapons. We rushed the ball for 288 yards and 5 running backs touched the ball, and you throw for 361 yards, and I think 9 different receivers caught the football. So we have some depth at that position. It gives our offense some confidence to go forward for this week, which we're going to need a lot of confidence, because when you watch Texas A&M, that's a different animal. And they're ranked 6th in the country, and they probably should be ranked 2nd or 3rd. So we have our work cut out for us, but our guys are playing with confidence right now.
And then just kind of an aside, playing the in-state opponents, I know you're a big proponent of that. I know you got the return trip with Carolina coming up next season, and talk of NC State being added and that sort of thing. How much of an advantage or a gain is that for App State football to continue to play those types of series and continue those in-state matchups?
I think it's big for our state. I think it's big for both athletic programs, and You know, we set an all-time attendance record at 40,000 people here at Kid Brewer Stadium. When we go to North Carolina next year, we're going to set an all-time attendance record. I think if you look at the East Carolina, North Carolina State, that was an all-time attendance record. Again, I'm a football coach. I'm not administration, but if I could give them one piece of advice, why wouldn't you do that? And it's great for the game of football. It's great for our fan bases, and it's great for their pocketbook. I mean, it's great for revenue. So these non-conference games, we have 6 or 7 Division I programs in our state. We should be on a rotating basis on a yearly basis.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And thank you, Coach. That's all the questions we have for you today. I do appreciate your time.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. Unbelievable environment for us on Saturday night versus just a really quality opponent. It was a tough physical game for all 4 quarters, which we knew it would be, and really proud of just the effort, the physicality that we played with, and the way our guys kept fighting for each other. It was hard fought and wasn't decided obviously there late until the 4th quarter, but I thought we, especially with some young guys playing, I thought we did a lot of really good things. I thought our guys were stayed in the moment, didn't make it too big. I thought they were focused on what they had to do. Obviously, a lot of things that we could correct and fix, but the effort and the physicality that we played with was tremendous, and really excited to see that, because I didn't know how our guys would respond to certain things, and I thought they did a good job responding when things looked bleak. You know, we got behind early, came back, and we got behind there in the 3rd quarter, and we were able to answer their touchdown, which was big for us. And then we got the 1 turnover there in the 3rd quarter that really turned the momentum, and that was a huge play in the game.
Thank you very much, Coach. Again, please use the icon to let us know you'd like to ask a question. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald. Dan, please go ahead.
Morning, Coach.
Good morning.
I know Grayson is obviously going to make plays. He's going to continue to make plays for you, but how happy are you that you had one running back well over 100 yards, and you had another running back that was right at 100 yards, and you sort of played Army with its own game a little bit?
Well, you know, the challenge when you play them is just trying to keep your offense on the field. And, you know, and question mark up front was our guys, just 3 new starters up there, and really another one in a different position. And so how would we respond? Would be able to control the line of scrimmage, and our guys up front did a good job. Our running backs worked hard, played, really ran the ball hard. And we were fortunate to be able to, I think we kept the ball 36 minutes, which versus a military school that runs what they do, that's challenging to do, but that was part of the game plan to try to do that. And that was a big confidence booster, I'll say, for our guys up front to be able to come out and play well in their first game.
I was going to ask you about your offensive line. I'm sure that was one thing you challenged them to, that you needed to maintain the ball. You needed to have your own lengthy drives and close out possessions.
100%. And because if you go 3 and out, if you don't do anything, with that ball and they get the ball back, they're going to wear you down with their style of offense and the physicality they play with. And it was a big challenge. We challenged our guys up front. Hey, we got to play physical. We got to try to control that line of scrimmage, and then we have to finish drives. And I thought we did a really good job of that for the most part throughout the game. I think we punted twice. We got in the red zone, and we scored touchdowns for the most part. We had to settle for 1 field goal, but we scored touchdowns, which was a big deal.
If I could ask you one about the Sun Belt in general. Starting the season, the East Division looked like it was going to be very strong, and I mean, wow, look what the East did this weekend.
Yeah, I thought they did a great job. Congrats to ODU for their big win, and then James Madison getting the first one there, which was awesome. And then Georgia State was right in that football game as well. Up through late in the 4th quarter there. So I think that showed, and you mentioned everybody there that did a great job. And I thought the Sun Belt representatives had some chances to really have a lot of wins, and it didn't go our way there at the end. But I think our conference spoke for itself, this weekend and the way we performed.
The old cliche, teams get better between their first and second games. What are the areas that you want to get better going into weekend where you will, honestly, you'll be favored this weekend?
Well, I think two areas. One, we had a lot of, let's say, fan watching where we weren't focused on who's supposed to be in and some of those things. We had a lot of some foolish penalties or some things where we didn't take care of business that didn't matter who you're playing, you got to do. So we've got to improve that. And then I think secondly is from a standpoint, we can't play a certain way because you think you're playing a better opponent and then play another way because we have to have a standard that we choose to play with every week. And for me and our staff, that's what we've got to demand of our players is this is how we play, period. It doesn't matter because it's more focused on Coastal. So that's going to be, our message is we've got to learn how to improve and play better but play at the standard we want to play at no matter who's across from us because we know we're playing a really good team that's coming with a lot of confidence.
Thanks, Coach. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sam, go ahead.
Jamey, one more for you here. Had 3 sellout crowds around the Sun Belt this during week 1. You guys were one of them at Brook City. And what does that say about your fan base and then fan bases just around the league as well?
Well, I did see the tweet there out. I mean, it was awesome to have the type of electric crowds that was presented there. And then I think 2, it speaks of the quality opponents that you're getting to come play at your home institution. And then 3, with us, our student body was tremendous. And then our community to, come out and have the type of environment that we did have. It was a special time and community really around involved. So it was awesome. And I hope we can continue to do that because you're playing great teams each and every week in this league and in the league and out of conference. And I think that's what fans crave. They want to see those good ones. And I'm glad that all of our teams could, put on a good display for them.
All right. Thank you, Sam. And thank you, Coach. Do appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, it was a great night for James Madison University. Everyone affiliated with James Madison that, supports, cares about football and, has made this move happen. It was a good start, but, really it was the first test and we passed the first test and, this week's the second test, but, I give credit to our players. They came out, they did what we asked them to do. They were focused, played with great energy, flew around, physical, wasn't perfect, but, we dominated them defensively, whipped them up front, kept them off balance. Offensively, we moved the ball quite well in the first quarter, just couldn't quite punch it in. But then we had a spurt there where we scored about 35 in 20 minutes. So made a lot of big plays, balanced on offense. Special teams was real solid. We did have the first field goal blocked. Left guard didn't do a very good job in the A gap. But other than that, special teams were good. So, it was a good start.
We'll get someone to get through here. We'll go as quick as possible. Shane, please go ahead. Shane, if you want to take yourself off mute.
Sorry about that. Middle Tennessee only averaged about 2 yards on first down and was kind of constantly in second, third and long situations. Obviously, you want 2 yards on pretty much any play, but is there a little bit of an added emphasis on, creating those situations on first down?
Well, yeah, that's always great, but they're doing that because we're whipping them up front and we're pressuring the quarterback in the pass game. They had 12 yards rushing the whole game and had about 8 3-and-outs, and I think we had 15 TFLs, 4 sacks. So, we want to dominate both sides of the line of scrimmage. That's always a goal every single game. And I thought on defense, we really played fast, tackled well, really physical, and up front we won.
All right, thanks.
All right, Noah, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, is there anything that you learned after looking at the Middle Tennessee game that you really didn't know about this team heading into that game?
Well, I said all week long, and I even told the team in the locker room before we came out, we have a lot of questions we have to answer about ourselves. We had a lot of new guys. It's a different team. And, we answered a lot of those questions. I was really proud that the team came out and kind of listened to the message and did sort of what we asked them to do, play with great energy, physical, fly around, but play smart. I thought we did that. Now, we missed some opportunities early in the game on offense, and we had missed opportunities on defense too. But Middle had missed opportunities on offense. They had a couple guys running open there early in the game, and whether it was an overthrow or a drop where, it could have been a different kind of game. So, I was proud of that. That told me something about our team, our character, our makeup, their resolve. And so, that was good.
And then you guys were able to run the ball really well and use the tight ends kind of in that situation. What do you kind of like from a young guy like Zach Horton going out there and doing that, and with Drew as well, kind of in that same situation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought the line and the tight ends did a good job, and it helps when you run the quarterback a little bit. Those are +1 runs. It helps your run game. So, we had 261 yards rushing. It was a good day. And, Zach Horton is a real physical player. He's athletic, really doing a good job, going to be a good player.
All right. Thank you, Noah. And we'll go over to Wayne. Wayne, please go ahead.
Hey, good morning. Jalen Walker, what maybe impressed you the most about his outing in his first start on Saturday? And what does it mean to this defense in the grand scheme of things? A guy who plays with so much energy.
Yeah, I thought he played really well. I thought Torres Jones played really well too. Both our linebackers, they have really good movement. They were all over the field, and both had a lot of tackles. And Jalen is a high motor guy. He loves playing football. I mean, he tries to do everything he's coached to do. Great attitude, good special teams player too. So for him, it's a great start for him. He's, we're very high on him. I know we lost Dorsey coming into the season, but I had 100% confidence Jalen Walker could step in and do the job and do it really well.
And for Ty, you mentioned you feel like for the team, Saturday was the first test, the second one's coming up this Saturday. What does that mean for Ty in particular? Obviously such an explosive outing for him in his first start. What are you looking for him moving forward? And also, do you expect to continue to use him as much, on the ground as he was used on Saturday as well?
Well, every game is different depending on who you're playing and their scheme and sort of what opportunities they're going to give you. So there were a lot of one-on-one matchups in the past game, and we missed a few of those early in the game. That we need to connect on those in the future. There were certain plays in the run game where he had the option to give the ball or pull the ball quite a bit. Where there were yards to be gained. But I really liked the way he competed. I liked the way he settled in after the first series. He was in total control, total command. It was a really good start for him. But, we got to keep it in perspective too. They were going to give us those one-on-one opportunities in the past game. We felt our guys could beat their guys, and we just had to protect and be able to put the ball there. Every week it's a little bit different, but I was really proud of him. I think the team believes, there's no question they believe in him. He's a good leader, and but he's got some things to work on. He knows that.
Thank you.
And we'll go to Grant. Grant, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, kind of looking at the receiving core, obviously with, Chris and Reggie having 5 combined touchdowns, kind of the odd man out, it seemed like, was Terrence Green. Is he a guy you kind of want to get going forward, or is that just kind of how it went in the offense on Saturday?
Well, Rav is a good receiver too. He caught that last touchdown. He's made a lot of big plays for us. And, Terrence, he caught one ball Saturday. You never know. Next week he might catch a dozen. So it's just the way it happened. And Terrence has made a lot of plays in his career. He's made plays for us in practice, and he's going to make plays for us this season.
Right. And then, kind of going back to Thursday, I know, your brother, big win against West Virginia coaching Pitt. I guess, what does that kind of mean for, was it a good weekend at the Cignetti, with the Cignetti family, with you getting the win and then your brother on Thursday?
Yeah, that was good. I was happy for him that they got that dub. My dad's been in coaching a long time, both sides of that rivalry, as I have been. Unfortunately, he's been a little bit ill in that game at halftime. He had another setback. So it's been a rough weekend for the family, if you really want to know the truth. But from an athletic standpoint, it was a good win.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, I think we have time for one more. We'll go over to TJ. TJ, please go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, just want to ask you a question about the Sun Belt East Division as a whole. I think 5 wins this weekend, and the 2 losses were both the Power Fives and 2 really good games. And that, is this kind of just what you think this East Division can be moving forward with how successful it was in week 1?
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, I think a lot of great programs in the East. There are in the West too. I mean, but it's going to be highly competitive. The future only going to get better and better, and the landscape of college football changing. I think everybody sort of anticipates down the road that, you know, that our conference is really going to benefit from that because it's such a strong conference, so many great teams and coaches. And week in, week out, you know, we play tough teams. We play them tough. We win once in a while. And, you know, I think Sunbelt's got the nation's attention, you know, the football fans across the country.
I appreciate that, TJ. I appreciate it, Coach. Thank you so much. Apologies, we are out of time. Moving right along, we're now joined with Jake Spavital, the head coach of Texas State. Again, if you have a question, please use the hand icon to let us know, and we'll get right over to you, or use the chat function as well. Coach, would you mind starting us off with the opening statement?
Yeah, just looking back at our loss this weekend, you know, I would like to say, like, we're frustrated and we're disappointed in kind of the performance because, you know, we've been working pretty diligently over the summertime and just in the off season in general. And, you know, we kind of were addressing our same mistakes that we were having last year. You know, we played a tough Nevada team, and I got a lot of credit for them. I thought they're an established program. I thought they're a very physical team. I thought they're very sound, and they didn't make very many mistakes. And we made too many mistakes on special teams and offense. You know, too many penalties, too many turnovers. I thought our defense played, you know, very well, given the circumstances of being, you know, with their back against the wall the entire game. But, you know, when you sit there and you talk with a team, you know, it's all about understanding that there's more than, you know, you got to play complementary football, and it's not just about one side of the ball. It's, you know, every side has to contribute and being efficient in what they do. And you know, defensively, it played extremely well, like I was saying, but we weren't very good in terms of overcoming the adversity and stopping, you know, touchdowns after turnovers. And that's got to be the emphasis with the defense, is to continue to play at a high level, but we got to elevate our play given the, you know, times and the circumstances handed to them where they had a short field to work with, and we got to get them to kick field goals. But when you look from an offensive perspective, you know, we got to eliminate those turnovers, and we've had too many penalties. We got to be able to establish run, you know, better. I thought Nevada did a good job in negating our run game, which, you know, forced us to throw the ball, you know, more than that I like. And then special teams, too many costly penalties that ended up, you know, putting the defense in short fields, and the same thing as offense as well. But, you know, I think our kids are, you know, I think they're kind of eager to get back out there and play this weekend versus an FIU team. I think like I keep saying about the disappointment and the frustration with our team right now, because they know that they can play at a higher level and are better than what that first game this season is. But, you know, we talked about how, you know, there's a lot of football left. We still got, you know, 11 more games, and, you know, we got to keep continuously getting better on a daily basis. And, you know, if you continue to improve and have success, then, you know, this first game can be a distant memory at the end of the season. So, questions, please.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start off going to Dan. Dan, please go ahead.
Good morning, Coach.
Morning.
What can you do to try to, what do you need to do to try to get the running game on track?
Yeah, that was something that, you know, it kind of caught us a little off guard. You know, I've always tried to establish the run early in games, and I think we handed the ball off 20 times and had 42 yards. So it was roughly around 2 yards a carry, which, you know, that put us in a lot of passing downs. And what we have to do with that is, like, we've got to be more physical at the point of attack. I thought Nevada was they're very big up front. I thought they were very physical at the point of attack, which, you know, forced us to have to put our foot in the ground and get north and south, and not, you know, actually be able to get to the holes where the play should be hitting. So that's going to be an emphasis. You know, we've got to be able to play. We got to be able to run the ball and be a little bit more multiple on the offensive side of the ball, because I thought Nevada did a really good job at, like I was saying, just shutting the run down and forcing us to throw and try to get the ball on the perimeter. And once they kind of understood that, then they could pin their ears back and go get the quarterback a little bit more. So it's very important to make sure that we're establishing the run game. So that's going to be a big emphasis all week, in terms of, you know, the attention to detail, the double teams, the physicality that we're playing with, and making sure that we're all mirrored together with the running backs footwork and the offensive line footwork as well.
It looked like Lane Hatcher was under pressure an awful lot. How do you assess his performance first time out?
You know, I thought he came out and, you know, you go in that first drive, we go about a 12, 13 play drive there, and everything was contested. I thought he did a really good job on third down. keeping it in play. I thought our inside receivers were playing at a high level as well. As the game went on and they knew that we had to throw it a little bit more, then they're going to do a little bit more exotic pressures. And they played man free really the entire game. And, at that point, you got to win your one-on-one battles. And I thought Lane was competing at a high level, he was getting the ball where it needed to be, but at times he was just under too much pressure, where that kind of led to the interceptions on deflected balls, just from pressure, hurries from a quarterback vantage point. And also he also had a fumble on a sack when he was throwing as well. So to summarize all that up, it's got to come down to establishing the run game, so we can get that pass rush off us a little bit easier and not be put in such long passing downs. But overall, I thought Lane, he competed and handled the circumstances as best he could. We just got to do a better job of helping him out, including myself.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dan. And thank you, Coach. We do appreciate it.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate y'all being here. Obviously, a good start for our football team. Our goal in week one was to go 1-0 and find a way to go 1-0 and grow as a football team, and grew within a game. To be honest with you, offensively, I thought we started out a hair slow in the first quarter, had a couple jitters, and really settled into that football game at quarterback, at skill positions in our offensive line, and got better with each and every play. Defensively, I thought we did all we could do. We said they can't win if they can't score, and defense doesn't give up any points. So we had one pick six that was the only points that were put on the board by the opposing team. So I think it was a great start. As always, there's a lot to learn from this game. We taught those lessons on Sunday, and now we put that game behind us, and we're back to 0-0, just trying to go 1-0 this week against a good Nebraska team. So with that, I'll take any questions that you got.
Thank you, Coach. As a reminder, members of the media, please use the reaction icon to raise your hand and let us know. We'll start off with Dan McDonald. Dan, please go ahead.
Morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Obviously, your offense, in the preseason got a lot of notoriety about what you were doing offensively, but how happy are you with the way your defense played?
Oh, extremely. And we saw it in both training camps. We really felt that we had it too deep of players that we could play multiple players. And you saw us substitute a bunch in that game, play a lot of kids. And there was no drop off in the standard of play. And that's what I was most pleased about. And then anytime I think you get 4 turnovers on the day, we're always fighting to get 3 a game. If you do that, you're going to be one of the top 10 turnover defenses in the country. And to be able to get 4 in the first game, only give up 1 offensively, which is our minimum standard, is 1-0, and be +3 on the day. It was an exceptional day by our defense and a great start to the season.
Can you assess Kyle Ventry's performance after one game? Obviously, his numbers were very, very good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he goes out there and he's a 4-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. Really on the interception, made a good decision on where to go with the ball, got hit off our left side blindly, and the ball sailed on him and ends up being a pick 6. But I thought his decision making was really good. You look up and you throw for 360, 4 touchdowns and 1 interceptions. I think we'll all say that there was more out there, myself, him, Coach Ellis, and that's how you grow. You look to get better within game, which I thought he did. I thought he really settled in that game well, and now it's an opportunity to get better from game 1 to game 2. And we expected him to go play like a veteran. I thought he did. He's a guy that's been a 3-year starter that has led a team to a championship, and we expected him to go out there and lead our football team. And I thought for a collection of guys getting together for the first time in a new system, if you would have told me 59 points, 500 yards, I probably would have taken it right then and there. But as we look at it, we know that there's definitely some room to growth, and we better get better walking into Nebraska.
Sorry, I muted myself. I was going to ask you that. What was sort of the reaction to the way you were able to, light up the scoreboard the way you did, and any reactions about the new look
Yeah, I was really pleased, really by the balance of the offense, especially scoring. You look at the running backs who scored 5 touchdowns in that game, 4 rushing, 1 receiving, and then you have 4 receivers make touchdowns. I thought the ball was spread around very well. We took what the defense gave us. 10 different receivers ended up catching the ball, and I've always been, no matter where we've been, points and wins are a good thing, and if you do both, usually everybody's happy. We're always going to try to have a physical style run game. That's been the model of Georgia Southern for a long time, and continue to push the ball down the field vertically. And if you do that, good things are going to happen. And it was good to see our running backs really get heavily involved, especially down in the red zone where, I think we were 6 of 7 for touchdowns, 7 to 7 scoring opportunities, but 6 to 7 touchdowns. And a lot of those were rushing the football.
How good is it to have a game like in Nebraska where you can really test your team?
Yeah, we're going to get reality this week, to be honest with you. This is a good football team. Scott's an exceptional offensive coach. He has been. We've competed against each other out west when he was at Oregon. You see what he did at Central Florida. I don't know if there's been a team that has been in more close games against quality opponents and been right there and ready to get over the top. And you look at the talent that Scott's amassed offensively and defensively. This is a really good football team and a well-coached football team. So we've got a huge challenge for us to go to Lincoln, which is one of the great college atmospheres that are out there, to go take some kids that some of them have never been on a plane before and go to Lincoln and have one of the great college experiences. So we're excited for the opportunity to go out there and compete.
If I could ask one more quickly, the performance of the Sun Belt East Division this week.
Oh my goodness. Well, we said going in, we really feel this is going to be the premier group of 5 conference that is out there. I would expect you to see 2, 3, 4 top 25 teams and to be able to compete at the highest level against anybody. And you see what Old Dominion did against Virginia Tech. You watch App State go toe to toe with North Carolina, and you look, and that's what you want for your conference. Your conference gains respect when it steps outside of the conference and plays Power 5 opponents and plays them very well. So we've got our opportunity to compete at that level this week. And just like we've said, this is, I feel, one of the premier group of 5 conference that is out there nationally. And I thought it was on display this last week.
Appreciate it, Coach.
All righty. Thank you, guys. Hail Southern.
Yeah. Coming off a tough game with Texas, I think you got to try to keep that game in perspective, not let it overly affect your team when you go out there and you play as hard as you can. And if the other team plays their best or plays as well as they did, they have a chance to that you can't compete with them. And Texas did a great job they were just better than us on offense, defense, and special teams. And we hung in there. And I think if you don't give up 14 points, one on a block punt for a touchdown, one on an interception late for a touchdown, you're probably about as close as you're going to be on a day like that, where they were just better in every area. So I told my guys it was a great opportunity, great experience, that they played, as long as they played as hard as they can and we correct our mistakes. We came out, we'll get as much as we can out of that game and now get focused on our next one. So it's time already now to get focused on Nickel State. And I know our players will do that.
Thank you, Coach. And I know we had a couple people just jump in. So if you need to ask a question, just raise your hand and we'll call on you. First questions come from Dusty Thibodeau. Dusty, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, I know after the game you said that there were some concerns about a couple injuries. Can you just give a quick update on those injuries?
Yeah, we've got several MRIs. We won't discuss everybody's injuries, Dusty, yet. We have usually don't get it's Monday, and we've got some development. We don't see anybody that's going to miss a long amount of time with any injuries that we had. But we had 3 or so that forced kids not to finish the game. There were a couple of those that we did not want to finish the game because they had the game in hand for them in the second half. But we will have 3 or 4 guys that have to kind of get treatment and get well by at least by Wednesday when we start getting our last good work day in. get that right. But really, no one for sure is ruled out of the games this Saturday. I mean, everybody's just now getting Monday morning treatments, and with the expectation that anybody that got banged up will be ready to play.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you, Dusty. Going to Dan McDonald. Dan, please go ahead.
Morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Can you assess the performance that Chandler Rogers had at quarterback?
It is hard to do. I told our staff this morning that when the other team is just a better football players overall in the field, your guys look like they tend to look very average. But when you look back at what Chandler did and the things that he did under circumstances, he really did play overall pretty good. If you take the one late pass, we're trying to score and make something happen, and he overthrows a little short pass, and it went right into the cornerback's hands, right into his hands behind him. He didn't force the throw. He threw in a hurry, off balance, and threw it over the hands of his receiver, and it went right into the chest of the cornerback with nobody to catch him. And so other than that, he played a pretty good football game and managed our offense very well. So I still believe he is the guy that has to lead us into this Sun Belt Conference schedule. We've got a few more games until then, including Nicholls State this week. But I still feel very good that he can run and throw all the things that we need to have done as our starting quarterback.
You were obviously going up against a very strong, very athletic defense. What can you do to sort of increase the production out of the running game?
Well, play people aren't as good at stopping the run. They were able to play a two deep coverage most of the day. That means their safeties don't have to get involved in the run, and their cornerbacks don't have to get involved in the run, and they can line up with 7. They were just strong enough up front that that we weren't able to create the holes that we needed. What we've got to do is, obviously, if we can get better that we would have a better chance against Texas. We've got to get better so we have a better chance against Nicholls. And that's the most important thing. The main thing is when people play 2 deep safeties instead of 1, you got to be able to run the football. And I think a lot of it has to do with, can your linemen match up with their linemen? Your backs have a little less big people to run past. So I think it's more just coming back down, not getting too upset when you can't run against a defensive front that's a little bit better than what we normally face. I think we'll see some runs pop out of there, but you can't say we didn't try. We ran the ball. We handed the ball off on runs many times, and but we could not. I think we averaged 2.2 yards a carry, but you can chalk that up. It's not just in guys not doing their job or not doing their assignment. Is the guys just couldn't physically hold the blocks or make the holes bigger, and we'll keep working on it. And we got to hope that we match up a little better down the road, and if they force people to get out of that too deep shell.
What else do you need to do in order to make improvements this week?
Well, like I said, the biggest thing is you try to keep your team. You don't want to lose any morale. If you lose to a Texas, you don't want to lose any morale. You want to keep your morale high, and don't make any final determinations on your football team. I know. I know even at Akron, we lost our first game against Oklahoma, 41-3, just got annihilated. And then we went out there and had the best year ever, won the first bowl game in history, won our last 4 games. And I think when you play a team like Texas, you don't want to read too much into the game or too little into the game. We could have played our best and still it had probably been 35-7, and the way they were playing. So the key is don't reserve your final judgment. Get your players to correct their mistakes, correct the things we did wrong, make sure we become a better version of ourselves, and then let the talent level come down a little bit and to see how we do. Because I think when the talent level is separate, when the talent level is the difference between Texas and ULM, when our guys play hard, it still doesn't create many big plays. And that's you can kind of see where that happens against other teams. So anyway, right now we just got to keep correcting our mistakes, getting better at what we do, and then hold our opinions of what good we are, this and that, until we play a little bit down the road, a little bit more down the road.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys. Looking back, Ole Miss game, Our guys played hard, didn't play as clean as we needed to, but we competed, had our opportunities. We got to execute pre-snap a lot better on both sides of the ball from a communication standpoint to win in that kind of environment against a really good football team. Moving on, we got Alabama A&M here at home. Really excited. We've sold more season tickets this year than school history, over 11,000. I think we're closing in on 12,000. I think we're going to have a great turnout for the home game. I'd love to see the vet packed. And so that's where we're at. We're moving forward and excited about the opportunity we have this week.
All right, thank you. We'll go to Dan McDonald. Dan, please go ahead.
Morning, Coach. Coach Bowden was just talking about it. You're playing a really good football team in Ole Miss. Can you really make a full assessment of your team yet, or do you need another couple of weeks in order to kind of see how good your team really is?
Yeah, Dan, good question. I don't know if we can make a full assessment, but we can make an assessment. I mean, they're a top 25 team. Our goal is to become a top 25 team. And so we're going to measure ourselves against the best. I thought at times we really showed that we belonged and handled things well at times. We got our backs against the wall. Third quarter got down 28-3. And then from that point on, after the first drive of the third quarter, the remaining 12 minutes of the game in the third quarter and the whole fourth quarter ended up being we won the last part of the game 7-0 the last 27 minutes or whatever. So I thought our guys competed and played hard. I'm not okay with losing, but I am inspired and encouraged by their fight. And I learned a lot about our team. We'll continue to learn a lot. We're being a new staff, new culture, a lot of new things. I think you learn a lot of new things every day about our team. So we're learning every day.
We'll go to Austin Greenland. Austin, go ahead and unmute yourself and go ahead.
All right, Coach. Pleasure to meet you. Austin Greenland, WDH Sports in Dothan, Alabama. My question for you simply is, you were just talking that you were learning from your team. What exactly did you learn, even though you lost this last week, from your team individually and all around?
Yeah, in all three phases, I think we learned some things we need to improve upon and maybe some strengths as well. Offensively, I thought, when we committed to running the ball at times, we ran the ball really, really well. You look at the second half, we came out and ran inside zone a few times and ripped off some pretty good runs of 8, 10, 12 yards. And so I thought offensively, we didn't back down from the physicality. I do think we got to play a lot cleaner from a mechanics and operational standpoint, pre-snap, that sort of thing. Defensively, part of our game plan was to limit the explosive plays because Ole Miss has been maybe the most explosive offense in college football the last couple of years. We probably were a little bit too conservative, and that's my fault. No, it's not the players' fault. We called the game a little bit to not give up explosive plays. And in the kicking game, we won the kicking game. We averaged 49 yards a punt. The kicking game was an advantage for us in that game, and I thought we outplayed them in the special teams phase. As coaches, I think we learned a lot about ourselves too, of how to maybe handle some situations. I learned some things of how I got to operate better. And so if you're not constantly improving and getting better and assessing everything you do whole program wise, including me as the head coach, then you're not paying attention to detail. So a lot of things to learn, a lot of things we'll grow from.
Thank you, Austin. And we'll go to Simon Williams. Simon, if you want to unmute, you can go ahead.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me. So, Coach, you being a Huntsville guy, you get to play Alabama A&M just from down the road from where you're from originally this upcoming week. What does that kind of say and maybe lend to you as a coach, as a local and as a program getting to play an in-state school?
Yeah, my mom's got her master's from Alabama A&M. I grew up as a kid. In the summers, I would go run the stadium steps at Lewis Crew Stadium when I was in high school to help myself for conditioning for the football season. So I'm very familiar with that program. Proud program, got a great history and tradition. That they've done a good job as a staff there. And you look at the players that have come from Alabama A&M traditionally, they've always got talent. So it's going to be a great opportunity for our program to play against a quality team.
All right, thank you, Simon. Dan, I see your hand up. Do you have a follow-up? Oh, you're on mute, Dan.
Yeah, Coach. One more. I'll ask another assessment question. Can you talk a little bit about the performance of Gunnar Watson at quarterback? It looked like he was under pressure an awful lot, but he was still able to check down and find guys.
Yeah, he's really, really tough. Probably sometimes he could have gotten the ball out of touch quicker, and been a little bit more decisive earlier in a play or two here and there. But he leads well. He functioned within the offense fairly well, minus a couple of things that we got to clean up. But he stood in the pocket, played with confidence, played tough, and made some big time throws. But there's a lot of room for growth there. Did some good things, but thought he handled it well, and did take some pressure, took some hits, and I was proud of how he responded. He battled, he competed. He's a fighter, and I think he'll continue to get better each week and compete.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. So I mean, I'm sure the theme of today for everybody is going to be improvement, and we're certainly no different. Very grateful to come out of there and get a win in week one. Certainly beats the alternative. So, proud of our effort, proud of the way our kids came out there and competed all the way through, and certainly went out there and did a lot of good things. Got to communicate better, got to make sure we're all on the same page. More consistently. I think, what you see with our team is that, we have a chance to be a good team. And the young guys have stepped up and they have a lot of ability. They've got to continue to do it more consistently. And for us, that's going to be the key, is just taking care of the details, being more consistent, and just creating more opportunities for ourselves by being in good situations through that communication. So, definitely, pleased with the win. Definitely not where we want to be, but in a good position to move forward and try to continue getting better.
Thank you, Coach. We'll go to Dan. Dan, please go ahead.
Good morning, Coach. How important was it for your guys offensively to go down the field and score first two times you had the football?
I think starting fast is something that was really important for our team in general. Defense in particular, offense in particular, right? With all the questions that were out there, I think those guys need to go out there and have a little bit of success early on. So those first two drives, really the first three drives moving it down the field were huge for us, and kind of saying, all right, well, this is what we want to be. This is the way we want to move the ball. It's kind of offense we want to be. Got to finish better once we get down there on drive 2 and 3. And like I said, third drive was my fault, going forward on fourth down and, didn't have our guys in the best position to go and have success on that play. But, really good start for us. I think traditionally we haven't started very fast, and that's something that we've talked a lot about. We've got to do a better job around here of starting the games fast, the season fast, whatever you may have it. We got to do a better job of that. So that was a good start for us.
Now that you've had a chance to look at it, can you assess the performance of both Chandler and Ben at the quarterback?
Yeah, I thought, I'll start with Chandler. I thought Chandler did a really good job. He made some great plays, on the move, made some really good throws down the field, from in the pocket and outside of it. He's got the arm strength to create and throw from awkward platforms and not in the pocket in a traditional setting. So his ability to do that helps us a lot. He missed a couple throws like everybody's always going to do. We're not going to, I've said it before, we're not going to protect him. We're going to put him out there. We're going to make him make plays. He's got the ability to do so. And the only way he's ever going to do it is if we let him do it now. I thought Ben was solid too when he came in there, executed for the most part, again, missed a couple of throws that he'd like to have back as well. But overall, those guys competed really well, and they ran the offense the way that I expected to be run. I've said it a million times. I think we've got a lot of good players out there, and the ball needs to go where the defense dictates. And, that means that the quarterback has to do a great job of deciding what the defense is doing, going through his progressions and getting the ball to the soft spots where it needs to go. And I thought both those guys did a really good job of that.
You were in the tight end room for a lot of years. How gratifying was it to see guys like Johnny and all of those guys have a great game?
It's just not very surprising. I worked with those guys, day in and day out for 4 years, and I've seen the work that they've put in throughout the off season and fall camp and everything. So, I'm not surprised. I'm happy for Johnny, in particular, but, Neal had some big catches. Pierce maybe had the play of the game on fourth down, with the catch that he made and the run after, set up the last touchdown. So I mean, it's not a surprise. I think those guys are very talented. I've always felt that way. The ball found them today, and it's not that, necessarily. I mean, Johnny's first touchdown was actually supposed to go to MJ, but the defense took that away. Chandler worked the progression and ended up hitting Johnny. So the ball just finds you sometimes, man. And I think, it's just the way it is. One game you'll have a monster game and might go a week or two and not have as many touches, but the ability is there. And I think the threat of having those guys that can make plays down the field, the threat of it is what makes it hard to play defense against.
If I can ask you a defensive question, you played against a very athletic, very mobile quarterback. There are a lot of those in the Sun Belt. Can that help you going down the line?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the guy won games in the Sun Belt, he's a big athletic kid. And I think anytime you have quarterback runs, it changes the dynamic a little bit. Defensively, that's a nightmare having to prepare for that as well. And Southeastern, I think they do a great job with their offense. They do a really good job. They put the defense in tough situations. They'll spread the box out and they'll create normal down 11 personnel type runs with an empty set with a tight end in the core because their running back is that athletic. So I definitely think it helps. I thought our defense had a good plan for them. And I think, the biggest thing you have to do, having played the position, you have to hit the quarterback, and every chance that you get that's within the rules of the game. And whenever they run the ball, you've got to hit them and you've got to try to affect them that way. And I thought our defense did a good job. I thought we played physical. We tackled well. We rallied to the ball, a lot of hats to the football. And, it affects you, when you play quarterback at some point and you're taking these hits, it just makes it hard to continue to stand in there and throw the ball at a high level and do those things. So, definitely I think it was a good look for us kind of headed into, in the future for conference.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dan. And thank you, Coach. I do appreciate your time today.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. Really hard fought game for us this past weekend, really tough loss versus a really well-coached team that's established and has done really good over the last few years. I thought we played extremely hard. I thought we played extremely physical. It's unfortunate we turned the ball over 5 times. 4 of those, directly led to points for Liberty, and 2 of those directly led to points for Liberty, and 2 of them took points directly off the board for us. Those are correctable mistakes that we've got to get fixed, and we got to get them fixed in a hurry. But I was really pleased with how hard we played and the physicality with which we played with, and we've got to get those things corrected moving forward.
All right, we'll start with David. David, please go ahead.
Hey, Will, how you doing?
Doing good, Dave. How are you?
Doing good, thanks. Just wanted to ask you for an update on Ty Keys and how he's doing after his injury there.
Yeah, he's with the training room and he's working through it. I would say there's a chance he's going to play this week. We don't know enough yet to comment even further. And, we're moving forward, giving him every bit of resource we can give him for his overall health and well-being moving forward, not just this week, but for the rest of his career.
Was that a head injury for him, Will? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on it any further.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, David. We'll go over to Luke Creasy. Luke, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach. How are you?
Good, Luke. How are you doing, bud?
Good. 4 overtimes. You ever been in a game like that?
Oh yeah, man. I've been doing it a long time. I've been in more than that. Yep. It was a barn burner, disappointed that we lost. It would have been a huge step forward for our football program. We've obviously made great strides in so many areas. Like I said after the game, that was a really good football team that would have beat us handily last year. We've made great strides. We've got to continue to improve, and we've got to get over this hump.
When's the last time you played that many overtimes?
Oh God, man, I don't know, Luke. Off the top of my head, I don't know the answer to that.
All right, thank you, Luke. We'll head over to Heath Helton. Heath Hinton. I'm sorry, Heath. Please go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Just gonna ask you right quick: is the superback is that the backup now quarterback, or was that just maybe a situation that played out during the game?
Yeah, so I've played 5. I've actually played 6 true freshman quarterbacks in my career. and almost most of them went on to be all conference players and some of the best players in school history. One key to that is I never want to play them before they're ready. You know, if you'll remember last year, Heath, you know, our starter Trey last year got banged up in game one and we didn't play Ty before he was ready. We've got a young man named Zach Wilkie that we think a lot of. Didn't want to put him in that moment to be his first live game action when we felt like we could run the football. We felt like our defense was playing at a really high level and controlling the game. And we felt like we could win the game doing that without jeopardizing his overall health and well-being and the development of him. He will play at some point this year. That may be this week. He continues to get better every day, and he's going to be a really good player, you know, along with Ty. So it was not a lack of faith in him. It was just the circumstances. Didn't want that to be the first time we ever put him in a game as a true freshman in that situation. We felt like we could win it going another route. And we thought we did the things we needed to do offensively to win it. We just turned it over on the 3-yard line. And, you know, we let them drive it down and score in a 2-minute drill drive and missed a field goal too. You know, we really, like I said, 5 turnovers was the main reason we lost, not because of who played quarterback and all of that.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the offensive line, what you saw in that game, improvement or different things in that aspect?
Yeah, I thought they played really good, man. We ran the football. We ran the football when everybody in the stadium knew we was going to run it. Thought they played really good. Thought our overall physicality on the O-line and D-line was evident all game long. Thought we dominated the trenches. You know, credit to Liberty for forcing turnovers. We turned it over 5 times. Like I said, two of them took points off our board and 2 of them gave points to them backed up in the red zone. So there were some devastating turnovers there.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
David, I saw your hand go back up if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, Will, I'm just curious, was the interception immediately after Ty's injury with Trey a factor in him not going back out there, or are you always going to go to the super back in the second half?
No, you know, we put Trey in and ran a play there and, you know, we got an interception. Could have played a little better at wide receiver. Not saying it was all Trey's fault. Again, just felt like our defense was in control. We felt like we were dominating the line of scrimmage. We felt like we could go. And then we went to the super back and drove it right down the field and scored. So why change? You know, we put the super back in. We went right down the field, scored a touchdown, tied the game up. So, you know, it was working. So why not keep doing it? And, you know, that's what we felt. We took the lead with 1:58 left doing it. And, you know, unfortunately, we let them back in the game there.
All right. Thank you, David. And thank you, Coach. Do appreciate your time today.
Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.
All right, Coach. How you doing? If you wouldn't mind, could you just start us off with the opening statement?
Oh, we apologize for a little snafu there. I think we had another block punt, so we had to figure that out. But yeah, you know, it's Monday, it's Labor Day, and we're getting ready for the University of North Carolina to come in here to Center Park Stadium and Georgia State University, and looking for a rebound week. You know, coming off a first game loss to the University of South Carolina, where I thought we went out and, you know, played pretty well for the most part, offensively and defensively, and you know, in our special teams wise, I think everybody that followed the game and followed us knew that we gave up you know, our block punts for touchdowns and then another fake field goal. So certainly not one of the proudest days for our special teams unit, but you know, it's going to be a chance for us to grow and rebound and make some adjustments in that area so we can go out and give us every opportunity to win football games. So we're making strides in that area ever since that happened on Saturday evening, and we're going to continue to do that all week in our preparation for the University of North Carolina.
Thank you, Coach. I do appreciate that. And again, to our members of the media, if you have a question, please use the reactions to raise your hand so we can call on you. All right. And our first questions come from Stan. I'm sorry, Stan, you saw your hand go up there. So you want to go ahead and unmute.
All right. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. I was going to ask you about the fake punts. It's like you can look back and laugh about it almost a little bit. It was not a comical thing, but after seeing it, was there something that just broke down a couple of times, or?
Well, on the first block punt, we just had a missed assignment. You know, one of our tackles was supposed to block down. He blocked out, and unfortunately, that was his man that came through and made the block. It was, for whatever reason, it was a mistake. And I can sit here and I can be mad about it and all that other stuff, but you have to move on in this game quickly. So that's exactly what we did. I don't think it was something he intentionally went out there to do. It certainly hurts our football team and what we're trying to do Saturday evening. But yeah, we have to move on. And just on the second one, it was just a bad cutoff block, a little bit too wide in his alignment, and didn't have the opportunity to get the defender cut off on the rush. Hayes was a little bit slow on that punt, and there it goes, block number 2 for a touchdown. And you really hate to pinpoint what the differences in ball games were, but when you have 2 block punts for touchdowns, it's pretty easy to say that 14 points and just the momentum swing in those 2 plays caused a lot of heartache and took a lot of wind out of our sails.
You take away those 3 scores, the 2 punts and the field goal that led to a touchdown. Are there real positive feelings going into this game? You just take those 3 mistakes out.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I think offensively and defensively, we played those guys probably right to a T, if not a little bit better. I mean, our defense did a nice job in containing their run game. I don't even know if they rushed for 100 yards. And, our tackles for loss, we pressured the quarterback. We lost some contain on the quarterback, and he made some decent plays. We created turnovers on the defensive side. So I thought it was a great effort from us defensively. Offensively, we controlled the line of scrimmage. We were able to run the football when we wanted to run the football. We did get stopped in the red zone in that opening possession right there on the 4-yard line. I thought we were toe to toe. It wasn't like, hey, this team's not supposed to be here. I can assure you that. So there's a lot of positives coming out of that football contest. Winning's not one of the positives, unfortunately. But we're moving on to the University of North Carolina. We know we have a good football team, and we're preparing to go win this game just like any other week.
Thanks.
Sam will go to Jamey York. Jamey, please go ahead.
Happy Labor Day, Coach. Obviously, would have liked to see the win over the weekend, but real quickly, I want to go back to what you said about special teams. After you have some missed tackles, missed blocks, things like that, what do you tell your special teams unit? What do you tell Michael Hayes, Seth Glauser, those guys to keep their confidence up and let them know you're still doing good things? These are just minor things that happen.
Yeah, after you go back and you really can pinpoint the problem and what was happening right there, I think it's very easy to see that this is fixable. It's not something that's going to be a recurring effect. It was a mistake. It's kind of like, giving up a sack and we have our protection slide to one side and the slide doesn't happen. So you give up the sack on that particular play. And unfortunately it was on a punt, which was very, very critical in that contest. But I think our guys know that we can go out and we can make improvements. I told them, I said, don't let a Saturday ruin your Monday. And we've got to move forward. And we've got a football team that's, very veteran, I should say. We have experience and we understand the highs and lows of this game, and we don't get too high over the highs. We don't get too lows over the lows, and we're going to move along and we're going to be just fine.
Defensively, it seemed like you guys were able to bring in those defensive backs to come after their quarterback. Is that a look we're going to see a lot of from Georgia State this year, or was that just a matchup thing?
Well, all of our matchup things are dependent upon what type of offense they run, where we think we can exploit their protections, and so forth. So, I think you could see it. It's going to really be dictated upon, who we're playing and what their schemes are and how we feel like we can attack them. If it does mean that we're going to bring some pressure with our corners or bring our safeties down in the box and do a little shoot concept, then we'll do that. But, that's from week to week.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jeremy. And thank you, Coach. Do appreciate your time today.
Yes, well, good morning. And I thought it was a really good team win for us. I thought our kids played with good intensity. They were ready to play. We had good preparation, and not only for just the game week, but I thought throughout the course of training camp, for us has been the ability to sustain and then learning how to win. And then you go into halftime and you're up, and the challenge was to continue to play, maintain our intensity, not let the scoreboard dictate how we play, and, stay with the theme of we have a standard of performance around here. And I thought our kids really answered that. As we know, it's a long football season, though. We need to continue to grow and develop our depth. We need more players being able to play winning football. But I thought from a first game standpoint, we played complementary football. I thought we were a connected football team in all three phases. And by the way we played, I liked our energy. And then it was a game of, we talk about the first game as a game of the unknown, but, 43 out of 67 of the players that played in that game, freshmen or sophomores on our roster, and 29 were making their first appearance as an Arkansas State football player. So we all know the challenge that lies ahead of us this week, but was really excited for our players and the way they prepared themselves for Grambling.
Thank you, Coach. I do appreciate that. Again, a reminder, our members of the media, if you have a question, please use the hand raise icon so we can call on you. Our first questions come from Sam. Sam, please go ahead.
Coach, you talked about the number of guys making their first appearance for Arkansas State. Can you talk a little bit about Champ Flemings and his performance?
Yeah, Champ is one of those individuals that obviously is one of our playmakers, very dynamic with the ball in his hands. But, Champ is also one of those individuals who's come into our program and has bought into our standard, our expectations, but also has brought a whole nother level of competitiveness. I think he's really helped kind of mold the wide receiver room. Our players believe in him. Good character individual who's extremely competitive. And, we needed to get him started early. And so we were able to do that. We're going to need more of that. But, Champ brings a whole nother dimension to our offense from a skill set and from a speed standpoint as well.
And then can you talk a little bit about a guy that's coming back for you, Johnny Lang, what he did here in week 1?
Well, there was no surprise that Johnny had the game that he had. Johnny's had one of the best off seasons of anyone in our football program. He's improved his speed. He's improved his endurance. He's really turning into a complete running back. When you look at the ability to catch out of the backfield, make people miss, one of his best runs was probably a 2-yard touchdown run where he was able to level off and get the ball into the end zone. He also means a lot to us in special teams as well. So again, I think it's a byproduct of how hard he has worked to put himself in that situation from last year.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
Mitchell, please go ahead.
Coach, I guess maybe this is a dumb question, but given the opponent, how much do you talk about the opponent this week, versus just do like you said, focusing on yourselves, focusing on what you guys are trying to do?
Well, for us, it's business as usual. It doesn't matter who the opponent is, whether it's one of the top teams in the country or what have you. It's about how we manage our business on a day-to-day basis and our routine and how we prepare for our opponents. So it just happens to be, an opponent that's, one of the best in the country. And the one thing is, when you play a high level of opponent, your mistakes that you make are magnified. So your margin of error is a lot slimmer. And a lot of the mistakes that we made Saturday night, if we make those same mistakes against Ohio State, they're going to turn into explosive plays in negative yardage football plays and possibly turnovers generated. So again, the level of your opponent, your mistakes are magnified. But for us, it's just working to be the best football team that we can possibly be each and every day, and, no more, no less.
Yeah. Had a, great win. Very excited for our community and how they came out and supported us in a sellout crowd. And I thought the entire Hampton Roads community came together and provided a pretty special atmosphere for both teams. So we played hard. I thought we played an opponent that also played hard, and so it was a very physical game. And thought it was a pretty special football game, and was happy to be able to come out on the right side of it.
Appreciate that, Coach. And again, I know we have some media members here jump in. So just raise your hand and we'll call on you. Luke, please go ahead.
How about the performance from the defense? Came away with 4 interceptions in that one.
Yeah, something we've really been working on is generating more turnovers. And, I was able to see it all camp. Our guys had really started making better plays on the football. And obviously we did it in this one. I thought there was a couple other ones that we actually could have had, beyond that. Coach Seiler did an unbelievable job of getting guys in the right position and able to make plays. But it was a pretty special deal that, when you generate 4 turnovers and also score a special teams touchdown, that's usually going to lead to a pretty good game.
All right. Thank you, Luke. Our next questions come from Bubba Rosebaum. Bubba, please go ahead.
Sir, appreciate the access. Good morning, Coach. Obviously, East Carolina is next on the docket for you guys. I cover the Pirates. So talk about what you've seen so far. Right there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had a little bit of a hard time hearing the end of it there. I heard something about East Carolina, but I lost the end of it a little bit there.
You hear me now?
Yes.
You're talking about your defense. If you would talk about East Carolina's defense, what you've had the opportunity to dive into so far, the way they played against NC State.
Yeah, I thought they played very, very well. They play with a lot of passion. They run around. They've got some athletic guys that can make some plays. Their field corner is a very, very good football player. I think they do a nice job of how their scheme is set up, and you can tell that they are very well coached based on, you can really see how things fit together. And so I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really good challenge for us. But they definitely are a team that, runs and plays physical and gets to the football.
All right. Thank you, Bubba. Our next questions come from Justin Zimmer. Justin, if you want to unmute, you can go ahead.
All right, Coach. Talk about the win on Friday night. That has to be a big statement win for you guys and your program as you guys are starting to build after not playing football in 2020 and get a big win to start off the 22 season. How big is this for your momentum going forward this year?
Well, I think we talk a lot about going 1-0 each and every week, each and every play, each and every series. And this just gives us another opportunity to go 1-0 this week. When you win a game like that, the next game is huge because you put yourself in a position to make that game big. If you don't come out on top, well, then we all know that we need to win to stop the slide. So I don't think it's any bigger or any smaller than any win that we've had since we've been here. And that's no disrespect to Coach Pry and his program. Obviously, when you beat an in-state opponent, it's awesome. But we're lucky that we play in the Sun Belt Conference where almost every single one of our games is a regional game. And a lot of our non-conference games are also 4 regional games. So all these games are huge for us in recruiting.
Thank you. Our next questions come from Sam. Sam, please go ahead.
Ricky, you've talked a little bit already about the, playing an in-state game, and you've got a couple more on the schedule. You kind of the tour of Virginia here. What does having those games on the schedule mean for you guys and then for the fan base as well? Obviously had a sold-out crowd this week.
I think our fans can look at each and every game and see the importance of it, not only to our team, but to them, right? They've got people in their neighborhoods who cheer for these teams. They've got people at work who are going to, wear the opposite team's colors and things like that. So it's an awesome thing. To me, this is what college football is all about. This is what it should be about. And Commissioner Gill's done an unbelievable job of setting this up in our own conference. And then we kind of double down with our non-conference games. So it's an awesome deal. We get to play the 4 other FBS teams from Virginia this year. And then you just look at it, and East Carolina is about 2 hours away from us, unless I'm driving. It's about an hour and a half. So I think that it's a pretty awesome deal to be able to play these teams that you're recruiting against all the time, and it just creates more passion in each one of these games, not only from our fans but also our players as well.
Thank you, Sam. Bubba, saw your hand go back up if you want to go ahead.
Coach Rahne, if you would talk about what you've seen out of East Carolina offense, obviously a veteran quarterback in Helton Ahlers, and then also several explosive playmakers like Keith Mitchell.
I tell you, I played quarterback, and this guy, he knows how to play. I mean, he is a great player. And I mean, he's physical. He can run physical with the ball. He knows exactly where his protection is set. He knows when to get the ball out on time. He knows where to go with the ball versus man coverage. He can find holes in zone. He can create time. I mean, you just watch. He can layer the football over second level defenders and before the third level. I mean, he does some unbelievable things. He is a very, very, very good football player. It's going to be a major challenge for our defense. I'm quite sure his name's going to be up there on that stadium somewhere. I don't know if you guys have a ring of honor or whatever, but if you do, I'm sure he's going to be on it. I just think that I'm impressed by him, and then I'm impressed by the wide receivers. They are a big physical group, a bunch of different guys who can make plays, from their wide receivers to their tight ends. Their running backs showed speed. They've got some running backs running away from North Carolina State linebackers and things like that. So, and then I'm watching their offensive line, and their center he's a great player. He's a great player. I mean, you watch how physical he is, how stout he is. He's able to, maintain the depth of the pocket really, really well for the quarterback, which allows him to, survey the field a little bit easier. So it's going to be a great challenge for our team, our defense. And I'm looking forward to watching, because I love being able to go against great football players. That's what makes this game so great.
Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate it. And Coach, thank you very much. Do appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys having me back. I guess when you win, you get called back, but really excited to be 1-0. Really proud of the players, really proud of the staff. I think that first game is always a true test of your organizational structure and everybody doing their part. And it was a really good organizational win from the top down, all the way down to, the people that are involved in keeping the stadium clean, police escorts, recruiting staff, coaches, players, families. So it was really good. We got a huge test this week coming up with a top 10 opponent. We got to go there, play in one of the historical college football atmospheres in the country. Coach Freeman and his staff have done a really good job of kind of keeping the train of Notre Dame football moving in the right direction. I know Saturday night they played an unbelievable game against another top 10, top 5 opponent in Ohio State. So we're looking forward to the challenge. Going to force us to do all the things that we need to do consistently to have a chance to perform well on Saturday. I know it's a huge game for our fans, and I don't want to sound coach cliche, but we got to approach this game like any other game. How well can we prepare all week? How hard can we play on Saturday? And then how consistently can we execute? I think sometimes when you get in these games and you're kind of the group of 5 school playing the Power 5 school, you overanalyze, you overthink, and you think that every play has got to be a touchdown or guys got to make one-handed catches. I think we got to go out and throw our best pitch. We got to be like baseball pitchers. We got to throw our best pitch and see if it's good enough. And hopefully it is, and hopefully we can continue to kind of make strides in the right direction as the season goes on.
Thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Luke. Luke, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing great, buddy. How are you?
Good. Yeah, we've heard a lot from around the Sun Belt about the crowds that showed up this past weekend for the season openers. How about the crowd at Marshall Saturday?
Yeah, I thought, and I count them in that organizational, victory. That was phenomenal. To look on both sides of the stadium and see nothing but green. The student section was phenomenal. And I think that just shows how much passion and energy and pride, the Huntington community has for this football team. And it was great to see that. The challenge is just like, the challenge for our guys on the field. Can we repeat that every single week? Can we go out every single week and have phenomenal crowds and create an unbelievable home field advantage? I believe we can. I believe the support here at Marshall has been phenomenal since the day I got here. I think joining the Sun Belt Conference has kind of re-energize some fans because of some of the rivalries and the regional matchups that we're going to have. So I was fired up. I think I count the fans in our organization. We're all in this together. Whether you're a player, a fan, a police escort, a ticket collector, reporter, whatever role you have in making Marshall football better, I count you guys in the victory, and it takes all of us to go out each weekend and have success.
Thank you, Luke. Our next questions come from Justin Zimmer. Justin, if you want to unmute, you can go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great, buddy. How are you?
Doing well. Coach, you faced off against Notre Dame when you're at Alabama in the Rose Bowl back in 2020. They've had a lot of changes on the defensive side of the ball, but they've had a consistency in Tommy Rees as the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. When you look back on Saturday night's game against Ohio State, did you notice any changes in how Tommy Rees has done the offense this year with now Marcus Freeman as the head coach compared to the Brian Kelly era?
Well, I think, I'm not 100% sure it has as much to do with the head coach or if it has more to do with the personnel and pieces that you have. When we played them a few years back, they had some different pieces. Now they've got different pieces. Their tight end is a matchup problem. So a lot of the things they do now is to try and get him, in an advantageous position, whether that is in the run game, whether that's in the pass game, or whether that's in the play action pass game, to try to get him the ball. And what happens is, because he is such a dominant player, a lot of the other offensive production and offensive plays kind of trickle downhill off of that. So I think Coach Rees is the same guy. I think he wants to be able to do the same thing, which is have a physical run game, be able to get the tight end matchups and get their best ball players the ball in space. That seems to be the same, but as far as the rhythm and the flow and the exact plays called, they're similar. But I think, again, the pieces are different. And Coach Reeves is a really good coach. He's going to have a way to get the ball to his players and put them in advantageous spots. And I think that's what you see more of now, more than just kind of, wash, repeat, if that makes sense.
Thank you. Our next questions come from Sam. Sam, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach Huff, can you talk just a little bit about Henry's performance first game at quarterback for you?
Yeah, really pleased with Henry, really proud of his progress since the day he's got here. I thought, one of the big things that we kind of expected or wanted from him was having quarterback experience, was to be able to manage the game and really do a good job of being efficient, while also showing his athleticism, not necessarily just running the ball, but being able to move in the pocket, being able to make really good decisions. I think, I don't have the stat sheet in front of me, but I want to say he was 24 of 27 or something in that nature. And the one interception he had was a tip ball that got picked off. But I thought he made really efficient decisions. And if he can do that consistently, we're going to have a chance to move the ball on offense. And we played great complementary football. I think it was a play in there in the first drive or two where we got a holding penalty and it backed us up, and it may have been 3rd and 15 or so. And, where, in the past, quarterbacks with really strong arms may have tried to force a ball downfield in the coverage. Henry took the check down. We got 6 or 7 yards. We end up punting. 2 plays later, we got a pick, so I think that those are the things that the really experienced quarterbacks do. And that's what Henry was able to do on Saturday. We watched the Pivot series with Byron Leftwich, just talking about Tom Brady and how he's worked with him. And one of the things he said was, Tom Brady is going to take the first read if it's open every single time. He's not going to try to force the ball. He's not going to try to make a play where that's not there. And by doing that, it forces you to stay on rhythm. The first read's there, take it. First read's not there, go to your second read. Take it if it's there. If it's not there, go to your third read. And I think when you do that, rather than ball snaps and you says, hey, I'm going to throw this ball to the corner, or to the dig or to the check down or whatever, if you kind of progress through that, you eliminate a lot of mistakes and you're going to stay efficient. I think that's what Henry was able to do for us on Saturday.
All right. Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Really do appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Look forward to seeing you next week, and go Herd.
Yeah, I thought, obviously exciting to get the first win against Nichols this past week. I thought our guys really did a tremendous job of carrying the things that we wanted to improve on as a team going into year 2, and that showed up on Saturday. the physicality that we played with. We, limited the amount of MAs and mistakes. And so I thought we played a pretty clean football game relatively. Did have a few too many penalties, and some of those things were operational things that we've got to get cleaned up, particularly with some of our twos when we got in there offensively and we got up, we put some twos in, and they need to get some things cleaned up as well. But ultimately, the physicality we played with, the effort we played with, and then I thought we played pretty sound, consistent football in all three phases.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Hunter. Hunter, if you want to unmute, you can go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Doing well.
After watching the film this weekend, what did you think about Carter's decisions? At least I know they were pretty solid offensively after the first series. Just talk to me about what you think about his decision-making process.
Yeah, I thought, I thought Carter really did a good job. They actually came out in a very different defensive coverage than what they had shown on tape a year ago. They had been really more of a one high man free type team, and then went into a more of a quarters bracket type look, which is pretty different. And so we had to kind of adjust on the fly. I thought Major and our offensive staff did a really tremendous job of recognizing some of those things and adjusting on the fly and getting our players to adjust. And if you're the quarterback in your first game in a new system, I think that's a real challenge to be able to do that. And then obviously as we adjusted, we started running the ball effectively, and then we hit them on some big passes that I thought Carter delivered. 3 touchdown passes there, and also ran for another one. So really pleased with the start. And I think what's exciting for us is that was the first time we were able to see him make adjustments in game with Major, and working through that process. And certainly there's some things to grow from, but certainly a lot of positives.
All right, thank you. Hunter, we'll go to Adam. Adam, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, just wanted to get your thoughts on Central Michigan and what you're seeing on tape as you get prepared to make the trip up to Mount Pleasant this weekend.
Yeah, I think Jim McElwain has done a tremendous job, with that program. He set an expectation to be in big moments and to win in big moments, and I think his team is already starting to do those things. Obviously, you've got a dynamic running back in Lou Nichols, who led FBS in rushing a year ago. I think, they have really done a good job adjusting under Paul Petrino, their new offensive coordinator. Paul was actually with us as an analyst at the beginning of January, and I joke with Jim, he stole him away from me, but very excited for Paul to get that offensive coordinator position. I thought he did a tremendous job in game one of recognizing his personnel and getting the ball to his playmakers. I thought, they really do a good job of trying to work to establish the run game. Obviously, when you have a running back like Lou, you want to make sure that you get the ball in the playmakers' hands, and then some long receivers on the outside that make some great one-on-one catches. Defensively, they've got some experience on their defensive line and some big bodies, as you would expect in the MAC conference. And so, we've got to do a good job of executing what we do. So much of the beginning of the season comes down to that. You're going to see new things, just like we saw a week ago. We didn't anticipate some coverage stuff and had to adjust. But at the end of the day, it's really about your ability to execute what you do and get the ball into your feature players' hands. And I think we've got a good plan for that.
All right, thank you, Adam. Our next question comes from Dan McDonald. Dan, please go ahead.
Morning, Coach. I apologize if you've already been asked this, but could you assess Carter Bradley's performance?
Yeah, I think Carter did a really tremendous job. I had just mentioned before about his ability to adjust in the game, and they did some different things to us from a coverage standpoint, and I thought he really adjusted well with Major and the rest of our offensive staff, and just seeing that communication between those two, seeing how they adjust together, and then for Carter to go out and execute like he did with 3 touchdowns and another 1 rushing, I thought was a great first start.
And Coach, if I could ask a general question, I'm sure you didn't get a chance to see much of it, but I'm sure you've already looked at the results of the Sun Belt this week. Great weekend for the Sun Belt to start off the season.
Yeah, I thought, we've said before, we're trying to establish ourselves as the premier Group of Five conference in college football, and I think we're well on our way to doing that. You look at the overall talent of this league, the resources that have been put into facilities, the fan bases, and the backing that you get from the communities in the Sun Belt. We are moving in a positive direction across the board, and certainly on-field competition when you get these early non-conference games is a good indicator of what this league is capable of and where we are in terms of relevance to the greater landscape of college football. And it was a good day for the Sun Belt.
Appreciate it, Coach.
All right. Thank you, Dan. And thank you, Coach. Do appreciate your time today.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. And that will conclude this week's Zoom.